Christopher Robinson is a certified facilitator with over 5,000 hours of classroom instruction to adult learners. In addition, he's grounded in cultivating inclusive leadership in the workplace. He's an Air Force veteran who has developed military members and coalition partners at military academies and civilian universities, resetting mindsets and cultural norms to improve connections and collaboration that brings out the best in everyone. Please welcome our presenter, Christopher Robinson.
Thank you, Deb. Really appreciate that warm introduction. And greetings and happy Saturday to everyone. I'm so happy to have you all here today and to talk about something that I believe is vitally important. And I think we all feel that way because we're here, because we want to make sure we are coming back to the work center to try to create this type of environment and culture within our organizations, cultivating inclusive leadership in the workplace. So I know we have just a little bit of time together, so I'm going to try my very best to get through as much as possible. But the reality is this: we only have just that bit of time together. So what we're going to do is try to make sure you walk away with something that you can take back to make a difference in your organization. So as we move forward, does anybody care to take a look or read what this has to say? Can you see it? Then I'll read it for you. I've got
Kind of
this
a big deal.
kind of a big deal. What would you think if a leader walked into your office space with that mug in hand? Your thoughts?
Immediately skeptical.
Immediately skeptical. Thank you, Rachel. What else?
I would think they're a little egotistical.
Very egotistical. Yes. What else?
I might want them to prove it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when you see something like this, you're thinking of a person who's not only all the things that you all have just said, but very self-centered. The focus is all about them. And unfortunately, that's part of the challenge that we have a lot of times when we have folks in positions of leadership. Sometimes they forget what it means to be inclusive of everyone. And so let's go ahead and get right into our session for today. What we're going to be discussing here today is an opportunity for us to not only enhance the effectiveness of members by building specific competencies, and those competencies begin with us fostering what we call engagement. How do we engage one another? How do we build the kind of team cohesion that's needed? And what does it mean to really, truly be inclusive? We're talking about resetting mindsets. And the mindset that we have to deal with is the one that we bring into the room. And many of us, based on our lived experience and life experiences, because of those experiences, we're very guarded. And so as a result of that, this is going to be, I believe, a level set to help us rethink how we approach inclusive leadership in the workplace. So we're going to be looking at behavior. We're going to be looking at cultural norms. We know culture, behavior, values, those things are imprinted on the organization. And a lot of times we tend to embrace that old adage, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And so I'm hoping today we'll be able to utilize the reset of understanding and cultivating inclusive leadership to improve connection in the workplace and with other folks, and to ensure that they feel as if they're a part of something bigger than them and they're a value contributor to the team. And so how do we build into their lives? By helping them feel as if they're part of something bigger. And so that means we're promoting high performance throughout an ongoing collaborative environment, which allows us to have a sense of belonging for not just you, but the rest of the members on the team. And many of us have been in places and spaces where folks have felt like, hey, look, I feel like I'm a value contributor. I'm putting my hands to the plow. And then others have seen where other members of the team have not felt that way. And as a result of that disengagement, oftentimes people end up having two best friends, Indeed and LinkedIn. I'll say it again. They end up having two best friends, Indeed and LinkedIn. That means they're looking for something else. They're looking for something else that will allow them to bring their gifts, their full gifts and talents in an authentic way. And so this will allow us to minimize the turnover and hopefully retain that talent on your team if you understand and embrace what it means to be an inclusive leader. All right. So it's a shared responsibility, not just with the leader, but with everyone. So it should not just be solely focused on the formal leader, but also the informal folks and members on the team, because they're the informal leaders. And oftentimes, sometimes they are minimized as far as their impact on the organization and creating that culture of inclusiveness. Now, to challenge you all a little bit with this, in order for us to really be collaborative in this mindset, in this space, we know that there are two challenges that we often have in the workplace that prevents us oftentimes from being as inclusive as possible. We have multi-generations in the workplace and some of the challenges there. And then we also have the digital. Now that we're, quote unquote, in the 21st century and have been, what are some of those challenges and how are you all dealing with it? So I would like for our participants that we have here with us, if we could have a small breakout room for those participants, Deb, where we can have one group go to the multi-generational challenges to the workforce for about 4 minutes and answer that question. What are we doing to listen with intention to one another? And then the other half, please answer the question on digital collaboration. How has digital collaboration added value to collaboration within the workplace? Is that possible to do? If not, I tell you what we can do. Let's just go ahead and just answer this question and just open up our mics and answer this question. So let's take the first one here. Multi-generational challenges to the workforce. What are we doing to listen with intention to one another, especially since we have 5 generations in the workplace? We have some, in some cases, we still have the traditionalists, not all, but some people are working longer these days. Well, we definitely have baby boomers in the workplace. We certainly have Generation X. We also have our millennials, our cloud generation, and Gen Z. So we have them in the workplace. So how do we do a better job with all the diversity of those multi-generational cohorts in the workplace? What are we doing to listen with intention to one another? Can you all name some of the things that you all are doing in order to and make sure that each generation feels heard and acknowledged and understood? The floor is yours.
I think first we have to give people the ability to be able to share their thoughts and their feelings. And so if we create an environment that people feel comfortable doing that, I think that's one way to be able to listen to everybody's thoughts and be able to utilize it.
Absolutely, Paula. Thank you for that. Do you find that that is across generations, regardless of what generational cohort they're in?
No, I think it's hard, especially being in a virtual environment now. You have to be intentional when doing things like that.
Okay, absolutely. All right. Anyone else care to chime in? And thank you, Paula. That was what we call a mic drop moment.
One of the things I find with multi-generational communication is finding out that words that maybe our generation may use may offend another generation. So you have to understand the current meaning of the phrase that you use.
Yes, Deborah. It's Deborah, right?
Yes.
Deborah, I think that's important. And that's so vitally important. The history, the context of that. Understanding words don't mean the same these days, and more words are being added to the lexicon and to the dictionary these days that we probably never would have added or never would have had anyway, because it was against everything that we were taught. So yes, that's vitally important. Absolutely. So thank you.
Yeah, like you're dope. Well, dope is, are you stupid or are you cool?
Absolutely. I love that. In fact, I have some friends, and I don't have my t-shirt, but God is dope. Some of y'all are probably seen that t-shirt as well. Yep. So thank you for that. That's powerful. Again, another mic drop moment. Anyone else care to share on this first question here with multi-generational challenge in the workforce? What are we doing to listen with intention to one another? I'll take one more. Go ahead. Is it Vivian?
Yes, Vivian here.
Vivian, go right ahead.
There's all sorts of people on this planet. How do I connect to people? How do I communicate? I love having conversations, spontaneous conversations at that.
Mm-hmm.
I found out that millennials and Gen Z told me that they felt it was so absolutely threatening and confrontational. I'm like, what? What? I'm trying to connect. They said, then send me a text message. A day in my life.
You know, that's real talk, and that really does lead into this digital collaboration in the workplace. You're going to find folks who are more comfortable, as you just put it, in some of the generational cohorts, with a text message versus that face-to-face communication. And let's face it, we had some real challenges during the height of pandemic, when many of us were working remotely and had to rely on platforms such as this in order to connect and work collaboratively with other members on our team in the workspace. So, Vivian, thank you for that. Another mic drop moment. So, thank you for that segue. That leads us to our next question here. The digital collaboration in the workplace. How has the digital collaboration added value to collaboration? Any examples from anyone?
Yes. I'd like to say the digital workplace has afforded us cross-cultural collaboration because cultures do things differently.
Mm-hmm. I love that. You're speaking my language there. It helps us across cultures and to do things differently. And you're right. We're able to do that now with the technology that we have in place, and it's affordable. It's affordable. You know, we don't have to spend as much money anymore to have people travel to wherever. If there's an office overseas or what have you, can do it right here using a platform such as Zoom or Teams. Okay. Anyone else?
I think it forced us to look at ways to help it work. Because I think at first it wasn't working. So we had to look outside of the box to figure out how do we make this virtual environment of digital collaboration work within our workplace.
So, Paula, let me ask you this, and I'm glad you shared that. Why was it not working at first, based on your experience?
I think because with my generation, we did it on a small basis. Mm-hmm. But if you told me 4 years ago that I would work at home, I am on the computer all day, parts of my team I've never even met, I would tell you that you would be crazy. Wow. But I've had to look at, how do I adapt? How do I connect with my team? How do I connect with people that I've never met? Because now this is the norm for us. So I had to look outside the box, as well as my company had to look outside the box to how do we make our day-to-day work when the environment is no longer the way it used to be.
I love it. And that shows your ability to adapt. We talk about this thing in the Air Force about being agile and being adaptable. There's a phrase that we use: the flexibility is the key to air power. And it really, truly is in a lot of ways and in our lives in general. So, no, thank you for sharing that. All right. So I've got this last piece here that I would like to share with you all that I think will help us to be more inclusive. And it goes back to how we see each other. We're going to watch this clip. It's from one of my favorite films, Remember the Titans, starring that incomparable Oscar-winning actor, Denzel Washington. Okay. That's my man crush. All right. There's a situation happening between the two teams. Batir and Julius are having a conversation about them coming together. This was during the time in which they were desegregating the schools back in the late 60s, early 70s in Virginia. And so let's go ahead and watch this scene. And then I want you all to look at the questions and answer the questions here. Do you see yourself as collaborators, or in collaboration versus competitors in the organization? So without further ado, let me go ahead and tee up this clip.
All right, man, listen. I'm Gary, you're Julius. Let's get some particulars and just get this over with, all right?
Particulars?
Yeah.
No matter what I tell you, you ain't gonna never know nothing about me.
Hey, listen, I ain't running any more of these 3 days, okay?
Well, what I got to say you really don't want to hear, because honesty ain't too high up on your people priority list, right?
Honesty? You want honesty? All right, honestly, I think you're nothing. Nothing but a pure waste of God-given talent. You don't listen to nobody, man. Not even Doc or Boone. Shiver push on the line every time, man. You blow right past them. Push them, pull them, do something. You can't run over everybody in this league. And every time you do, you leave one of your teammates hanging out to dry. Me in particular.
Why should I give a hoot about you? Huh? Or anybody else out there? You want to talk about a waste? You the captain, right?
Right.
Captain's supposed to be the leader, right?
Right.
You got a job?
I have a
you
job.
You been doing your job?
I've been doing my job.
Then why don't you tell your white buddies to block for Red better? Because they have not blocked for him worth a plug nickel, and you know it. Nobody plays, yourself included. I'm supposed to wear myself out for the team? What team? No. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look out for myself, and I'm going to get mine.
See, man, that's the worst attitude I ever heard.
Attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
And there's your mic drop moment. Attitude reflects leadership. And so you saw the discussion between Batir and Julius. And it goes back to the questions that I have for you all on the side here. Collaboration versus competitors. How do you see each other in the workplace? Do you see each other as collaborators, or do you see each other as competitors? Anyone care to chime in real quickly?
I'd say both.
You say both?
I'd say both. Yeah, I'd say both, because it depends on the situation. It's going to change depending on what's going on.
Okay, so culturally, we have certain structures perhaps in place that cause us to be in competition with one another. Is that what I'm hearing from you, Barbara?
Well, I think different personalities. Some personalities are more competitors. So even if you're working together as a team, you do feel like you're competing to be a leader on that team. Mm-hmm. And yes, when you're working as a group, you have to collaborate. But some people won't let you collaborate. So what are you supposed to do?
And again, that goes back to the mindset. That goes back to leadership saying, and putting down this cup that says, I'm kind of a big deal, and saying, hey, look, what can we do to minimize the competition aspect that we have? Because some things are inherent, and some of that is the mindset. And then what do we do to foster more of a collaborative environment? And so that starts with the leadership being the example. So for your personal reflection here, I want you all to list cultural norms that foster behaviors that you're experiencing in the workplace. And then my question to you all is, what are you going to do differently? Based on how you answered the first question, what are we going to do differently to make a difference, to build a connection, to foster more collaboration and cohesiveness in the workplace, and minimize this competition, competitive mindset when we're supposed to be all on one team, one fight, and trying to move the needle or move forward. So these are just some of the books that I use in order to build this particular presentation. I would encourage you all to add these to your leadership library. This was something that was shared to me many, many years ago from one of my mentors, Chief Bob Vasquez. He used to always say, Chris, it's about building into the lives of others, and you must share the work product that you've used in order to build your presentations, because it also continues to build into the lives of others as a part of that legacy. I would encourage you all to take a look and use your phone or whatever other device that you have available to you for the QR code. I'd like to keep this conversation going with each and every last one of you beyond our time here today. I know it was short, and that's just the way it goes sometimes, but that's okay. It doesn't mean we can't still connect via LinkedIn or some other platform. And I look forward to working with you all. If you ever need me, please feel free to reach out. Any questions for me?
So excellent job, Christopher. I'm so excited to have been able to be here with you. I encourage everyone to take a picture of that QR code there